This video is going to cover some basics about chest rigs. I got a lot of comments on my last video saying that people wanted to know what kind of chest rig I was using, how I recommended setting one up. So people have asked and I have answered. I'll put a little blurb at the end of this video, but first of all I just want to tell you guys thank you for the support, thank you for the comments, for the likes on the video. I made that video and basically promptly forgot that I had done anything for a YouTube channel, and then I came back and found out that quite a few people wanted to hear what I had to say. So thank you guys. Please feel free to continue liking, subscribing, adding comments, whatever you want. I really appreciate it, and I'll try and make content that you guys appreciate and want to watch in the future. So that said, let's jump right into it. So first things first, let's talk about chest rigs and different benefits and drawbacks that they have versus other load carrying solutions. Personally, I'm a huge fan of the chest rig. It's probably my favorite way to carry gear. Some guys like belt kits better for everyday use. Some guys like plate carriers. I think that each of those carriage solutions has its place. I have both of those as well. However, personally, I like to stick with the chest rig. Real quick overview. So benefits that a chest rig has, right? So first of all, let's go over the drawbacks of the chest rig versus other systems. One thing that is a major detriment, and the reason a lot of people like to run belt kits or other things, is because it carries the weight very high up, right? So depending on what you're doing, it can kind of unbalance you. It can make it hard to carry over long periods of time depending on how you have it set up. Depending on what type of a bag or pack you're running, it might get in the way, it might make it uncomfortable, so that's kind of an issue there. They can be somewhat limited in space depending on what kind of chest rig you have. And really those are kind of the big things that keep people away from chest rigs, right? The other thing too, depending on what type of chest rig you have, it may or may not combine well with, let's say, a plate carrier. There are a lot of placard systems out there that can be used as chest rigs. In my experience, those don't do that dual hat role quite as well as a purpose-built chest rig. So, in my mind, those are some of the issues, right? Belt kit, you can carry your kit a little bit lower on your hips, which helps you carry it over long periods. Plate carriers, obviously, you have the ability to have body armor as well. But there are some real benefits to using a chest rig system. For me, I like the fact that the load is up high because it allows me to wear a hip belt if I'm wearing a ruck or some other kind of pack. I also like it because it allows me to carry all of my gear that I need that is mission essential right here and access it all quickly. When I was in RSLIC, something that one of the instructors said was, we work out of our bags, we fight out of our kits, and we live out of our pockets. So what he meant by that was, we work out of our bags, so we have all of our gear that's mission specific or for whatever it is that we're doing in our bag, right? Because that's something that we can take off quickly. It's the stuff that is least significant to our survival, right? Because if we need to, we should be able to drop that bag and still have everything that we need in order to fight and survive, right? So getting into fighting, that is what the chest rig is about, right? Now, doing different things, I've done some different competitions, I've gone hunting with a chest rig on, done all this different stuff. The chest rig contains your ammunition, which is the most basic part of it, right? But also, it should contain gear that you need in order to help you be more comfortable, help you survive more comfortably, and help you accomplish your mission more effectively. Going down to the last level some point, I may make a video about this, but not 100% sure. I'm not a huge EDC nerd like some guys out there. Sorry guys. But in our pockets should be everything that we absolutely need and cannot live without to survive. Knife, flashlight, that type of stuff. So we're not going to get into what we're going to have on our backs in our pack, right? Or what we're going to have in our pockets. This is just going to cover chest rigs and what we should have in a chest rig. Alright guys, so now that we've gone over a basic overview of benefits, drawbacks of chest rigs and other load carrying systems, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the video. Chest rigs and setting them up. So when you go to get a chest rig, there are a few important things to consider. One is the carrying capacity, right? Is your rig going to carry everything you need it to? Hand in hand with that is the size. Is it too large for what you need it to do? It's going to prevent you from doing the things you need to do, from wearing a pack properly, things like that. What is the carrying system for it? Is it going to be comfortable for what you're going to use it for and the duration that you'll use it for? And last but not least, is it modular? Can you reconfigure it for whatever mission or whatever else you happen to be doing with the chest rig? So, that said, I'm going to give some examples of different things. I'm not going to do a deep dive on all of these in the video, but if it's what you guys want to see, then let me know in the comments. So, down here in this corner, we have the standard U.S. Army issue TAP system. Stands for Tactical Assault Panel System or something cool like that. Standard issue. This is a reproduction Fereday and Sons Rhodesian chest rig with grenade pouches on it. This is a South African Pattern 83, kind of the granddaddy of modern chest rigs. And this guy right here, Porter Chest Rack Mark II by Rockwell Designs, I believe is the company's name. Classic Type 56 Chicom chest rig. Mayflower Velocity Systems Pusher Gen 6 chest rig. This is going to be the one that we'll focus on for this video. And right here is a Hill People Gear Snubby kit bag, which is basically just the runner's kit bag, but with some extra rows of MOLLE on it. Alright, so first and foremost, let's discuss our different load carriage systems. Two main types. We have our X harness and our H harness. Now, these are pretty easy to tell apart, right? Because the X harness in the back is going to form an X, as you see right it's in my camera here. That's your X for the X harness. And your H harness is going to have an H that it forms whenever you have it properly attached. So, pretty simple to tell the two apart. Benefits and drawbacks of each system. X harness, really the only good thing about it is that it's light and it's easy to make. Drawbacks of this system, there are a lot of them. It's a little bit more of a pain to get on and off in my experience. It's easier for the straps to get twisted. It's easier for them to get caught on and under gear. These get very uncomfortable when you're wearing them for extended periods of time, like days at a time. Yeah, a lot of manufacturers will do this just because it's a little cheaper and easier to do. I don't fault them for that, but not my personal preferred method. These are not bad by any means, but they do come with a lot of drawbacks, just so you know. The H harness, on the other hand, is the absolute gold standard in my book. I wish every chest rig used this attachment system. Unfortunately, they do not, because like I said, cheaper to make the other one. On this Velocity Systems guy right here, this is like the best load carriage system I've ever seen. They call this their Ultra Comp design. I'm not trying to shill for them, I'm not sponsored for them or anything, but features 3-inch straps. They have nice non-slip material on the back. It's comfortable to wear. I've worn this for days on end and not been uncomfortable for a second while I'm wearing it, even when it's heavily loaded. So, if you ask me, this is absolutely the way to go with your carriage system. One thing to know, there are some different ones. They have what I call a Y harness system for the taps right here. It's really just some weird thing that the government came up with. It's easy for the straps to get twisted, it's uncomfortable, it's hard to get on and off. I would take an X harness or an H harness over that system any day. But that's besides the point. It does work, it's just not the preferred method. Alright, so now I've taken a break to throw this bad boy on. Let's go ahead and get into specific setup and necessities, talk about some different things when you're getting your chest rig ready. So, once again, this is Velocity Systems. I like this guy because talking about my first point, carrying capacity, this thing carries everything I need and nothing that I don't, right? Chest rig should just be necessities. Don't throw anything in there that you don't need, right? And if you try a piece of gear and it doesn't work, don't be afraid to take it out of your kit or try and live without it, right? As far as size goes, this thing is small enough that I can wear a ruck or can wear an assault pack or whatever I need to over it. and still connect the waist belt underneath it. Now, understand that whatever it is that you're putting in this, like I said, needs to be necessities, right? So specifically, we need ammo, we need meds, we need survival equipment, and we can put a little bit of work equipment in here. So, first things first, ammo, pretty simple, right? I say 2 to 6 magazines, depending on what you're doing. Now, if you're expecting to do something more like direct action, probably lean more towards that 6, maybe even 8, depending on what you have. For everyday stuff, I think that 4 is a good balance. That's what I have set up on this kit, and that's really what I'd recommend for the most part. Gives you plenty of extra space to put whatever else you might need into your kit. Meds, I have a medical pouch over here, and I have a tourniquet right here. We won't go too far into the weeds because I'm not a medical expert. I just have enough stuff to patch a couple holes if they happen. You'll hear the phrase in your plate carrier that you need to be ready to stop holes, patch holes, and make holes. Obviously with a chest rig, you're not going to stop any holes, so you just need to be ready to patch holes and make holes. That's where our ammo and our medical stuff comes into play. Now let's go ahead and talk about survival. In my mind, a compass is a piece of survival equipment. I have a GI compass right here. It's what I use. I know they're not the best for everything, but they work pretty decently. So I have that guy on speed dial set up in my kit right here. I have a magnetic closure so I can open and close this silently. You don't necessarily have to have that. You can have it in a zipper pouch or what have you. But just have that guy ready to go. Like I said, survival equipment in my mind. I also carry a lighter in here, which I consider survival equipment. I have a multi-tool or a knife, survival equipment. And that really covers most of the stuff that I would consider survival equipment. From there, what you have left is space for your working gear. Now, depending on what you have set up, you may or may not have a ton of space for working gear. This guy right here, perfect example of that. So, I have a main pouch. Right now I have a handgun in there because I use this for running a lot. I'll put my phone in this pouch. But I could kit this out with medical kit if I really needed to, and throw a little bit of survival gear inside. Not a lot of space for working gear. Same is really true for some of these other ones. This guy, not a lot of space for working gear. I have medical right here and here. I have some survival equipment and some face paint and stuff in here. Not a ton of room. This guy, I've tacked on this admin pouch where you can put whatever you need to. Not a ton of room, but you know, it's there. This guy, once again, not a ton of room for working gear. You really have to get into something more like this or something like the TAP system in order to get enough space for you to put whatever extras you might need. So, talking about some of the other working gear that I have in here that I generally keep with it. Keep chem lights over here, pouches for them. I keep them taped so that way if one of them does break, then instead of just being a complete beacon in my position, it's at least a little bit contained. I leave the tops open so that way if one of them did break, then I would be able to see it when I look down. Over here, I have an optic. On most of my rifles, I run on magnified optics. So this guy, not the best, just a Vortex 10x monocular, allows me to be able to see things that are a little bit farther away. Get some better target acquisition. Keep that guy in a flashbang pouch, which I have tacked on over here. In one of your pouches, I highly recommend that you have a headlamp or a flashlight of some kind. Prefer red lens capable, that's your prerogative. But I always carry some sort of headlamp on everything. Every single one of these kits has a headlamp in it somewhere. And I would recommend that you do the same, because if you can't see at night, then you can't do much at night. So, all that gear is in there. In this pouch right here, along the front, I like to keep tape. Tape is also one of those things that's super handy, on par with a headlamp, as far as what I would consider essential. And usually I'll carry some camo face paint or something in here. Depending on what you're doing, you may or may not actually need that. So, spare batteries are never a bad idea as well, specifically for your headlamp or whatever else that you may be using. Back here on this guy, there's an admin pouch. Most chest rigs have a rear admin pouch of some sort. In mine, I carry a notebook, something to write in, any extra literature that you might need, and in my mind, it's especially important when you're using a map. I carry a protractor. There we go, got it flipped around the right way. Because it's hard to read your map or know specifically where you're going to go without a protractor. One extra thing, I also carry a whistle. It's especially nice if you need to signal to someone, or if you were to need help in the woods for whatever reason. I'll leave the jokes and comments to you guys on that subject, but needless to say, it's useful. Big thing with it, it has a lanyard, right? I'm big on tie downs for specific items. My compass, I tie off to something all the time. On this guy, Pattern 83 chest rig, have my compass tied off right here to the strap. Never a bad idea. If you do have that guy in there somewhere, to have it specifically tied off. Wherever you need to tie it off to, it's fine. Just make sure it doesn't get in the way of your magazines, because I've seen guys where they tie things off right here and they run the cord over their magazine. They go to do a reload and it gets snagged on whatever it is that they have tied off there. On the topic of magazines and snags, make sure that whatever you do end up setting up with your chest rig is snag free for your magazines. At least one of them should be quickly accessible, because otherwise you're going to run into the issue where you need a magazine and you're not going to be able to get to it. Perfect classic example, guys will put a knife somewhere across their chest, right above where their ready mag should be, and when they go to pull their ready mag, it gets stuck on the knife. They have to fumble with it, and when you need a reload and you can't do a reload because your magazine is stuck on something, it's going to be a bad day for you. So make sure you have at least one ready. I would recommend having all of them snag free, but we don't live in a perfect world. You make the decision that you feel is right and necessary. On all of these chest rigs, as you will see, have them set up so that they are snag free. I don't have the TAP system set up with its harness, but it is what it is. On this guy, I have a tourniquet located above these magazine pouches, right? It still opens and the magazine extracts just fine. Plus also the top of the magazine pouch right here prevents that mag from getting snagged on the tourniquet, right? So, more important than setting these things up is practicing with them. You can set them up and try and look cool all day, but it's not going to matter at all if you can't do what you need to do with your gear. So, get out, test it out, try it out. If something doesn't work, don't be too proud in order to change it and fix it. Because if you are, it may end up costing you someday. On the topic of changing and fixing things, one thing I like to do, I'm going to pop up on the screen here a workout that I like to partake in whenever I have a new piece of kit, new piece of gear that I'm trying out and customizing. This workout will let you know in no uncertain terms whether or not, one, your gear is durable enough in order to do whatever you may need to do with it. Two, if the things you have set up in your gear are going to fall out or snag or fall apart or what have you whenever you're executing some sort of movement through whatever rough terrain or moving around quickly, what have you. Perfect example of the reason why I do this is on this chest rig that I have right here. We'll go ahead and cut back to this view. So right here, there's a little patch of Velcro right here. I have never really been a big fan of morale patches. To each their own. If you want to throw them on your stuff, fine. I've never really liked them. However, I used to put, not morale patches, but flags, insignia, things like that on this pouch right here, because I wanted to look cool, right? So, put that stuff on there. One time, crawling through the dirt and some weeds and some other fun stuff, I looked down after I had reached an observation post and realized that all of that fun stuff had divested me of my flag and my rank insignia that I had attached to this pouch. Fortunately for me, it wasn't too far behind me, but that was a valuable object lesson in why we don't want to put stuff on the front of our kit unless there is a very specific and good reason to do it, and also unless it fits with whatever it is that you happen to be doing. If you know that you're not going to be crawling around and that it's not going to get caught on stuff, or that if it is, it's not going to compromise you and cause any issues, fine, throw whatever you need to on here, but nothing that you don't need should go on your kit. Never do anything that is unnecessary. Like I said, I learned this lesson. Fortunately, it was a cheap lesson for me, and hopefully it's a cheap lesson for anyone else who has to learn it. But that's why I don't tack anything onto the front, and quite honestly, it annoys me a little bit that there is so much Velcro on stuff. This guy, these patches of Velcro are not really for morale patches or anything like that, so not a big deal. On this Porter chest rack, it does have some Velcro, and on the front of my pouch here, there's some Velcro. Like I said, don't recommend putting any morale patches on there. Just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Alright, so that is going to wrap it up for showing the basic setup, some of the concepts that go into setting up a chest rig, and a couple of different options that are out there on the market. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you like the content, like and subscribe, because I just do this as a hobby, and honestly the only reason I'm making this video is because there was such a positive response to the assault pack video. So I don't want to be that guy that makes one video and then disappears forever from the internet. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would appreciate knowing that, because that's the reason why I'm making this stuff. Thanks again for your support, for all the positivity and the comments about the last video. If you guys have any input or if you have any questions about anything, feel free to drop a comment below. And if there's something, like I said, any of these chest rigs that you want to see a video on in the future, then just let me know that in the comments, and I will do what I can in order to find time and make a video about it. Like I said, if there are things you want to see, if there's a more in-depth topic that you would like me to cover that I talked about a little bit in this video, just let me know.